Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of our slash Am I the Butthole? Am I the butthole for canceling a check of $12,000 that I wrote for my infertile friend for her next IVF cycle over a joke? I am 35-year-old woman and am infertile. My ex-husband and I tried everything to have kids, but it just never happened. He divorced me, went and married someone younger who was able to give him a kid, and from what I gather, they're expecting a second child together. It hurts like hell seeing someone else have what I couldn't. I get frustrated with myself sometimes and with family blaming me for basically everything. I turn to my friends for support, especially AmITheA. She's in the same infertility boat as me, but she and her husband are currently trying IVF, hoping it'd work. AmITheA asked me for help to pay for her upcoming IVF cycle. I agreed to write her a check of $12,000. I really wanted to help her, and the money came with no strings attached. I wrote the check and gave it to her last week. She was very appreciative of it. The very next day, I got a sudden message from a mutual friend, Carol, with a screenshot of the conversation she had with AmITheA. Turns out she and AmITheA were talking about the next IVF cycle, and AmITheA said she hoped the cycle would work because she didn't want to end up divorced and having her husband go marry someone younger and have a baby with them and another one on the way, while she's alone and without a family at 35. She's 32. I was stunned and hurt. I knew she meant me here. But I did not confront her. I simply contacted my bank and canceled the check. In the evening, AmITheA called to ask why I canceled the check, and I told her. She went batshit, saying she didn't mean it that way and that she thought that this was somewhat an inside joke between desperate infertile women. She came over with her husband the next day begging I write another check, but I refused. An argument ensued and her husband thought I wasn't being supportive of her like when she supported me throughout my struggles. She left crying and we haven't talked since then. Her husband keeps reminding me, while repeatedly calling Carol a toxic snake, of the date of the next cycle, saying they can't have it after I took the money that was supposed to pay for it back. Some friends thinks I'm being oversensitive. Carol's on my side telling me to tell them to go to hell, but I feel so bad about it. What I've done might just damage our 15 years of friendship. Maybe I shouldn't have canceled it, but I just felt so offended by what she said about me and how she basically mocked my unfortunate circumstances. So am I the butthole? Next story. Am I the butthole for missing my father-in-law's funeral after my mother-in-law booked my husband first class, but me economy? I am 31-year-old woman and my mother-in-law don't have a close relationship. She's civil towards me but can be a bit passive-aggressive at times, and we tend to disagree oftentimes. We live in a different state. Father-in-law passed away suddenly and mother-in-law told me and my husband to come attend the funeral. She booked our tickets to fly to her state. But the issue started when my husband told me that we couldn't sit together in the plane because his mom had booked him a first-class ticket while I got economy. I was flabbergasted by this. I tried asking him why, but he urged me to suck it up, and we'll talk about it later. In that particular moment, I felt so much humiliation and contempt. I felt like she was treating me as less than even in her hard times. I decided to not go and just go back home. My husband was shocked by my decision to go home and tried to convince me to just go, but I declined. He went alone and I ended up missing the funeral. He was livid, just calling M3 and texting nasty things, calling me petty and spoiled. He said that I should be grateful his mom paid for my ticket to begin with, then said that she doesn't owe me a goddamn thing. I argued about how she could have just booked us both in economy if money was an issue, but he called me pathetic for thinking about it when his dad just died. He said it was cruel what I did and that his mom and family will never forget that I missed the funeral over ridiculous reasons. Am I the butthole for going home over this? Next story. Am I the butthole for yelling at my husband when he ate some of my chocolate and making him drive across the city to replace them? I am 8.5 months pregnant and driving sucks. So my mom drives me around because my husband is working huge hours to get ahead before the baby comes. Last month she drove me to my favorite chocolate store and I stocked up on my favorite flavors. The store has dozens of flavors of chocolate individually wrapped in colorful foil so you can tell the flavor. The store is about an hour's drive away from our home. My husband knows my favorite flavor. Half the bag was originally that flavor, but by now it's just even with the others. He came home from work yesterday and after supper we were going to sit and watch TV. I waddled over to the couch and asked him to please bring me 2 of my chocolates. He did, and he grabbed a few for himself. No problem there. He came back to the couch with chocolate in his mouth. When he kissed me, I knew what flavor he took. He admitted he took the stracciatella ones. My favorite. I got kind of upset and he said it was no big deal, I could go with my mom and get some more. Yes, this company sells their chocolate everywhere, but that flavor, I've only ever seen this flavor in their store. I asked if he has been eating that flavor a lot and his face told me everything I needed to know. I yelled at him that it's not like it's easy for me to sit in a car for 2 hours. He said he would go out right now and replace them. He hit a couple of drugstores and a couple of grocery stores, they all told him the same thing. So he drove across town and came back with a big bag of just that flavor. While he was gone, I called my mom and she said I need to calm down because my hormones are making me crazy. I apologized to my husband, but he is still grumpy that he drove around for hours just to get me chocolate. I think he should know better than to eat my favorite flavor. I know this isn't as big a problem as some of the other stuff here. Next story. Am I the butthole? Boyfriend found my cleaned period panties and made me feel crappy about it. Hey all, my boyfriend is 27 and I'm 24. We've been together for almost 2 years. My boyfriend is extremely hygienic in all ways. Like showers twice a day, washes his clothes after every single wear, don't leave a single dish in the sink dirty. If you ask me, he's a little over the top on how clean he and everything around the house needs to be 24/7. He will scrub his body 3 separate times in one shower cycle just to make sure he doesn't miss any dirt. His showers are easily an hour most days, if not more. I obviously have good basic hygiene skills, but I am much more relaxed. For example, I will wear a t-shirt twice before washing it so long as it's not stained, covered in something, or stinky. Or I might leave a few dishes in the sink for a few hours after dinner before I get up and wash them. He would prefer I didn't and just kept everything to AT right away. Yesterday night we were doing laundry. We always air dry our clothes to save money and to reduce fading and shrinking. Usually I am the laundry person, but on a one-off he happened to be the one to take the clothes out of the washer and lay them out to dry. He came across one of my pairs of panties that I specifically only wear during that time of the month. I'm certain ladies will understand that we keep panties separate for periods than we do for when we aren't. AKA I have my ugly or maybe blood-stained pairs for my period, and my cute and well-kept ones for when I'm not on my period. Anyways, upon seeing these, he told me that I need to throw that pair away and that it's disgusting and unhygienic. He made quite a few comments about how gross they are despite them being clean but just blood-stained from a previous period/spotting situation. I attempted to explain that I keep those pairs solely for when I am bleeding, and that it's a common thing girls do, but quickly stopped because I could tell he just disagreed with me and told me that he's pretty sure other girls do not do this. It made me feel really, I don't know, gross? Ugly? Alienated? I'm not really sure, but it definitely made me upset and feel some type of way about something I felt was natural, I guess. I snapped at him to forget my explanation because he's just making me feel like I'm gross. And a small argument ensued because of this. We ended up going to bed kind of frustrated with each other, but I don't think I'm wrong. Am I the butthole? Next story. Am I the butthole for calling out my husband's co-worker's wife for trying to flush a maxi pad down our toilet? I'm still pretty mad at the whole ordeal. My husband's co-worker and his wife are both mad at us and think I humiliated her, but I think her lack of common sense is what did it. My husband and I recently hosted a cookout at our house for his co-workers. He gets along pretty well with most of them and enjoys hosting. Co-worker's wife Julia goes to the hallway bathroom, comes back. I end up going after her and notice the toilet is clogged and starting to overflow. Something large and white is stuck. I use the plunger to unclog it and lo and behold, a very large bloody maxi pad. Julia was the last person to use the bathroom, so I come out and asked her if she tried to flush a pad down the toilet. She got embarrassed and said yes, and I told her she needed to go clean up the mess she made. There was water all over the floor, with particles of her pad and blood everywhere. I asked her if no one ever taught her not to flush a pad. We have a septic tank and they cost thousands to repair. You don't flush pads, especially not the extra large ones. It's not like she tried to flush a panty liner or something. Julia cried and her husband yelled at me, "But who does that? Especially at someone else's house?" Husband's two female co-workers came to my defense and pretty much said it was stupid of her to do that. Julia half-assed cleaning up her mess, and her husband quickly left. All of their co-workers think Julia shouldn't have done that, but my husband and his co-worker are having a whole feud about it. Am I the butthole for calling out my husband's co-worker's wife for trying to flush a maxi pad down our toilet? I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.